Okay, so there's this viral video making the rounds, and it's making a pretty explosive claim. The allegation? That there's a huge, high-level, coordinated smear campaign trying to destroy none other than superstar rapper Nicki Minaj. Today, we're going to break down exactly what this whole alleged plot is all about.
And this whole story really kicks off with a super dramatic call to action. It's from the video that started all of this, and it basically frames the entire narrative around this one really urgent plea. All right, so to really get a handle on this pretty complex claim, we're going to walk through the 5 key parts of the story just as it was presented in the source video.
So first things first, what is the central allegation here? Well, at its core, the claim is that there's this massive, really coordinated effort happening right now, with the deliberate goal of just completely destroying Nicki Minaj's reputation.
And who's supposedly behind it? The source video points the finger at some pretty powerful groups. We're talking Democrats, Hollywood, and the mainstream media. The idea is that they're all working together in what the video calls one of the most disgusting smear campaigns yet.
So, what kicked this whole thing off? What was the spark? Well, according to the source, it all started with a single email from a journalist.
Let's look at the key players here. On one side, you have a journalist from the publication Politico, and on the other, you have Nicki Minaj herself, who, as you know, leads her famously powerful online fanbase, the Barbz.
Now, this right here is the key phrase from the journalist's email that everyone is pointing to. This is where he allegedly reveals the entire premise of his story, an investigation into a so-called web of bots or inauthentic accounts that are supposedly boosting Nicki's content.
The video really zeroes in on the specific questions the journalist was asking, things like inauthentic activity and coordinated inorganic activity. The argument being made is that these questions are so leading that it proves the story was always intended to be a hit piece right from the very beginning. And this is where the story pivots. It moves from just being a media story to an operation with, supposedly, some deep political roots.
So here's how the video connects the dots. You've got the journalist, right? He works for Politico, but the claim is that he also has ties to Governor Kathy Hochul, whose team has actually criticized Minaj in the past. So the video's basically saying, see, there's a political motive here.
Now, to build its counterargument, the video introduces a pretty interesting psychological concept, and that is projection. So the argument goes that this is a classic case of projection. Because, look, Minaj has been calling out bots and manipulated algorithms for years now. So the claim is the media is turning right around and accusing her of the very thing she's been fighting against. So how did her fan base react to all of this? Well, according to the source, this alleged attack did not go unanswered. Not by a long shot. In fact, it activated one of the most powerful fan communities on the entire internet.
And this quote from the video really captures that sentiment perfectly. The idea is that this whole situation just completely woke up a sleeping giant, and that giant is the Barbz.
The video really emphasizes how fiercely protective the fans were, highlighting their very aggressive online campaign, a strategy that's described as scorched earth. Which brings us to the really crucial questions, right? First, why would this campaign allegedly be launched in the first place? And second, how does the narrative claim it all totally backfired? The video argues that the ultimate reason for all of this is political. It comes down to a fear of just how immense Nicki Minaj's influence is over potential voters.
And this leads right to the source's core argument about the outcome. The whole plan, allegedly, just failed spectacularly. Instead of damaging her reputation, it created this massive backlash, a total backfire.
The argument is really bolstered by one key fact. That Politico article, the one that was supposedly about to drop, it still hasn't appeared. And this is presented as direct evidence that the fan backlash actually worked. And so the video's conclusion on the whole state of affairs is this. The alleged attackers are now in retreat, backing down because the power of the fan response was just too overwhelming.
Ultimately, the narrative that's been presented here leaves us with a much bigger question. Is this all just online drama, or is it a sign of something more? A sign of a global celebrity's very real and growing political power in the digital age?